Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're looking after yourselves. We're back with another episode of Behind the Curtain, where we dive into some deeper topics that we've discussed in episodes or we're going to discuss in future episodes. And I thought, what better way than bringing on an amazing guest speaker today? So, as I said, I will never do guest speakers justice with the introductions. So instead, I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker for today and say, could you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Tatyana, or some people know me as Agrani. I started uni here at 16 doing law, and I recently graduated earlier this year.
Wow, oh, thank you. I guess one thing to pause. So you joined Brunel at 16?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
I did.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn is the right.
Well, no, I think we're going to be diving into that a bit later. Actually, I say later, just quickly transitioning to the question, but we can dive into it right now because the first official question is why did you decide to study law? This episode is focused more around law and specifically law at Brunel. But yeah, okay, I've got like two parts. So I guess the first part is the 16 part because most students who go to university they usually attend at 18.
Yes.
Even when I saw it in your description, and you can see it on the website, when you said 16, I was like, oh, like maybe you knew you wanted to study Brunel at 16, and I was like, okay, but what? Yeah, 16. I'd love to know a bit more about that, and then I think after that we can dive onto why you decided to study law. But yeah, how did that work out?
Well, they're kind of both linked
into
each other, but yeah, so there was a foundation program with the London Brunel International College where they use like international results that you get. So they don't necessarily do A-levels abroad. So they use the equivalent to GCSEs. And that's what I used to do a foundation degree in law and then started off the whole undergraduate. So I did a 4 years undergraduate instead of a typical 3 years, but that included the foundation degree as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, gosh. And, why did you decide to study law? Was law always the dream? Was it,
everything I could.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I actually did not want to study law. It kind of just happened that way. It's kind of chosen for me, like the path, but I did originally want to go into more of a science stuff. But as I progressed, I guess, into the years, I kind of just took it because I was like, okay, I'm here. I might as well do well in this and not fail the whole thing. So I went ahead and I finished my whole undergrad. And then towards the end, so after I graduated, of course, I started thinking more about what I want to do. And I decided that I did actually enjoy law, some of the aspects that happen. I don't necessarily enjoy the traditional aspects that come with it, but the whole knowledge and the whole learning and the constantly changing with society, that part I really enjoyed, so I decided to just carry on.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. And I guess that's it's really nice to see that, I guess, because we have many, as I'm sure these guys know, we have many a guest speaker on here, and so I always find it interesting to see the different journeys. So like with you, you were saying that law wasn't the dream, it wasn't the dream, but you still had a good time, and you still really enjoyed it. I guess, are you currently I know you graduate and stuff, and if you don't answer, you're more than welcome to. But are you currently working for a law firm, or are you using something that's related to your degree in your current role?
So I am currently doing the SQE with a master's. So that's the solicitor qualification course with an integrated master's into legal practice. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. So what you're telling me is, if I need a lawyer in a few years' time.
Do you know what? We'll see. At the end of this year, I'll let you know. Right now, it's looking a bit 50-50.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're looking for a lawyer, you might have found one right here.
But yeah.
Going on to our next question, on our website, you've got a description, and it mentions that you started the Mauritian Society at Brunel, and I'm not bragging or anything. I've been at my time at Brunel, I've seen there wasn't one before. In recent years, I've also seen that a lot of new societies are sort of starting and sort of coming up, especially cultural societies. I guess our question is, what inspired you to start the Mauritian Society?
So I'll correct a little thing here. There was one previously my foundation year, but it was quite small and it closed down quite quickly. So for the 3 years afterwards, there wasn't a society for the Mauritian community, and as they kind of graduated, the numbers got less and less. And with COVID and everything, the whole interacting and trying to find new people, it wasn't the most ideal circumstance to start a new society. But in my final year, I think a lot of Mauritian people wanted to get to know each other in uni and just have a place, especially after COVID, trying to fit in somewhere, I guess. And we had this unofficial group chat where everyone was trying to talk about themselves and they all wanted to link up and do like community things like dansega, eat food. And then at one point we were all like, well, why don't we start a society instead, since we don't actually have one right now? But most of them were very new to the whole process and they were new to the uni itself. So I volunteered and I was like, well, I'm quite familiar with the whole starting the society and working with societies as well as with Brunel. So I was one of the oldest ones in the group chat, well, in terms of academic years. I was one of the oldest ones. So I volunteered to start the society and that's how it came about. I tried to choose people who would fit the role and who would kind of have the confidence to start bringing people in and promoting and I guess just be familiar with people. And that's how it came about.
Oh, wow. No,
so it was a joint
effort,
I guess. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And I really love the story because kind of like what you mentioned, one, it's good to have a society of people, even like whether it's official or unofficial, like you said, a group of people that are sort of, from the same background, they sort of know the same experiences, it's not around anymore, which is a shame. But when I was at Brunel, there was the Nigerian Society, and it's always great to, like you mentioned, you've got cultural festivals, you've got cultural activities that you do, and it's always nice to have like a group of people that sort of get that. And you don't need to. I mean, I'm not saying like explaining it to people is a bad thing. Like, don't quote me on that. But I'm saying like it's really good to have people that have similar experiences to you.
I think the nice thing as well with it is it wasn't necessarily about similarities, but having so people that knew a bit more about Mauritius, because there was some people in the community as well where they had Mauritian parents or they had Mauritian background, but they weren't familiar with the traditions and the customs because their family don't follow it. And they wanted to get to know a bit more because it's a beautiful island, beautiful people. And right now as well, it's a very growing holiday destination. Everyone's trying to get back into their roots. So that as well, like having people who weren't familiar with the tradition also wanting to join and wanting to know more about Mauritius, about the community. And obviously we all have different experiences within the community as well. So just being able to share that with not only people that share similar values with us, but also people that are very new to it. So it's not necessarily people that are just Mauritians, but who may have Mauritian background or have interest, or just anyone who's willing to respect us, I guess.
That's really cool. Oh no, thank you. And I guess that's another society for you guys to check out. But yeah, going on to our last question for now. Because I can't think of any more. Is essentially, we've heard your story. We've heard about, like I said, it's still crazy to me the uni at 60. Actually, I'm sorry. Before we go into that, I guess that is an interesting question to ask because uni, I guess, as a home student, uni at 6, like 16-year-old me, I know if I was at uni, probably would have been a bit of, not a mess is a stretch, but like,
No, you're right.
yes, there's a bit of like like you sort of, when you're 18, you're sort of like in that adult mindset, but I guess kind of like when you're 16.
Development difference.
Yeah. So I guess, how was that for you?
It was, okay, there's no word for it, but it was definitely challenging at first, considering I had never been away from my family. My family is quite close, like I followed quite a strict household, so I wouldn't do sleepovers and I wouldn't like necessarily do abroad trips. The most I did was probably a few days in Belgium for a history school trip, and that was it. So coming to university was very different. I did have my cousin here, but still it was a very, very big change, obviously coming here. And I did have a lot of bad experiences. And I had very good experiences as well. The people that I met, some of them were good people, some of them were bad people. It was just trying to figure out exactly where I felt the most comfortable. And just, I think the whole process matured me very quickly, because there was, I think, just trying to find out what I kind of want at the end of this. That was the most important part. And there's just making small decisions to reach that target. Think I ended up in a good spot. But
like it.
I think the whole journey could have ended up very differently if I had made like a few wrong decisions along the line.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, starting at 16 was very, very hard. I did a few under 18s meeting with Elwick.
Mm.
So they did check in quite often. And then when I switched to Brunel, that was kind of gone silent. So I didn't have anyone checking up on me in the university itself. But yeah, after that, COVID hit as well. And I was in accommodations. So like, okay, what do I do now? But yeah, it was a very rocky kind of journey. Yeah.
But no, honestly, it's amazing to see that you've come out stronger because of it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, like I said, the fact that you went to uni at 16, 16-year-old me, I don't think would have been able to be where you were at. So yeah, no, honestly, it's really impressive and something you should definitely be proud of. But yeah, I do promise this is the last question. And it's basically what's next for you. You've spoken about your whole journey at uni. Um, you know, coming to uni at 16, how you found law and how you enjoyed the course, and how you sort of like it's now, led to your completely different career path that you saw yourself going on. What's next for you?
Okay. The answer I'm going to give kind of sounds like a cop-out answer.
No, okay.
But in all honesty, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm kind of just taking it as it comes and I'm still deciding things. I think one thing I've learned throughout my degree is even if I do make a plan, it's not necessarily going to go the way I want it to, even if I do make the right decisions. So I'm just taking it as it comes. I'm trying to get through my master's first and then hopefully, seeing whether I still want to carry on going into law or whether I kind of just want to move into something else. But for now, I do really enjoy law. I do see myself going into it and possibly, applying for training contracts or possibly just work experience and volunteering for charities. But yeah, for now I'm just taking it as it is. Yeah.
No, that's not a answer. It's the truth. And I think it's really interesting that you we've mentioned it before that it is really that. I mean, it's okay to be like that. To not know necessarily what's next, but like you said, sort of like taking it as it comes. Taking it one day at a time, not necessarily rushing it. We're in a new year. At this point of recording, the point the episode comes out, still going to be in the new year. But it's that's one of the things that's nice about whether it's you want to sort of not redo yourself, reinvent yourself, or if you want with the new year, you sort of got that opportunity, and like you said, you can just take life as it comes and not feel like too pressured about stuff.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's very pressured in university is you need to have a plan after university. Like after you graduate, that's where you need to know what you're going to do, which is not true. After you graduate, life is very like some people may know what they want to do. They may already have that place secured for them, but a lot of people don't. It's just, after university, a lot of people end up in this blank space where they're like, what do I do now? There's no help. There's nothing. You can bounce back on university, I guess, with the development center, I think. But there's no one really there to guide you as much as university. And I think the issue with that is we're guided so much throughout our whole education process. Where it comes to the end, we feel an immense pressure to do something, but that's not necessarily the right decision because then we end up in situations where we don't want to be.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah,
God,
that's where I have no plans apart from getting through this degree.
No, that's so true. And I think kind of like what you mentioned, we're going to do it. I mean, we did do an episode talking about job hunting after graduation. There we go. And it'll be in one of the corners. You can check that out. But yeah, we sort of mentioned it there that, like you said, that there is a pressure or like assumption that as soon as you hit final year, you got to know that these are the graduate programs I'm applying for. These are the companies that I need to sort of get my CV in ASAP. These are the people I need to work with type thing. And it's just no, you've got the time. Whether, like you said, use the PDC if you're at Brunel, if a university has a professional development center or someone that can help with CVs and stuff, you could use them too. Whether it's if you're at an earlier stage and you're in your first or second year, you're thinking about maybe doing a placement and looking into those and seeing the options there. Or whether it's just like we mentioned, getting awards, joining societies, being on committees. Because those skills are transferable at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think like you said, joining, I knew for the Law Society, there's a lot of activities like
Mm.
negotiation, meeting. I joined meeting, and that was very, very helpful. I think I added that into my CV as well for when I was joined my new university because I worked with them for
Mm.
the competitions. So that is a very helpful thing. And not, I think you learn a lot of things about yourself
Mm.
and in terms of confidence as well. You tend to speak a lot more. I think for law students, that's something that's very important no matter what. You need to be able to speak to people, to whether that's judges or clients. You need to be able to, I guess, know who you're talking to.
Mm.
Yeah, so joining activities was definitely very helpful. And also touching back on the applications, I know in law as well, it's very competitive to get into a training contract or to get pupillage
Mm.
and stuff like that. So all of that, I think people need to realize that, there's years
Mm.
after, and I guess I have bought myself a bit of time, seeing I'm still young, I still have a bit more time than everyone else. But I mean, not everyone's going to get the places. And that's very, very, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. There's only a limited amount of space
Mm.
and there's only so much people can hire. But just keep going at it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
It's
you're going to lose hope for a little bit, but I think you need to still remember the end goal,
mm.
still keep trying to reach it. But yeah.
No, it's so true. And it even applies for like whether you're just job hunting in general, that it sucks to get rejected from
Yeah.
jobs. It sucks a lot. But it's really, like you said, it's all about keep on applying, keep on doing stuff. And I think there's one more question. I keep saying that, but I promise there's one more because it came to me and I was like, I should ask it. But before I go into the question, it's like what you said that as long as and I think that's what employers like, is even if, for example, you graduate in 2022 and you don't get a job until, let's say, 2024, you've been applying stuff. What they do really like is if you show you've done something in that time.
Yeah.
So whether it's, you do some part-time work, we had Vishali on for that job hunting episode, and she was saying that she was working at McDonald's and she had a managerial position, but it was really well because it taught her a lot about what the good things to have in a manager. Whether it's, you instead like do loads of training and courses so you can build up and show that, you're now qualified with this or that. If you're a Brunel student, and again, we mentioned a lot of resources, but Brunel is, they offer this resource for free, but you can pay for it as well. LinkedIn Learning is something you can use. There's another one, I've forgotten the name, but it will appear somewhere on the screen. But there's like a lot of online resources you can use which are free to sort of like just, show that you've built up your knowledge on like Excel, or you've learned how to like validate a business idea or stuff like that, which is really good.
Courses are definitely a good idea. I think some things that might put people off though is the fact that some courses have to be paid for, which is understandable. Not everyone can afford some courses. But I think rather than thinking about the jobs that you're applying to whilst doing those applications, it's more important to think about the skills that you're putting in and the effort that you're putting in. Because, I mean, every job has a purpose. And so I think speaking down on jobs is not a thing. Okay, I don't like that personally, because every job has a role. It's just, what you do within that role that's going to take you further, and it's always going to be helpful doing something as long as you're not just, thinking that everything's going to come to you, which is not necessarily true. In some cases it might be, but yeah, just keep doing something.
No, so true. And like what you mentioned, there's no bad job. Like there's always a skill or something you can learn. And it might not, like, for me, example, my master's is in sustainability, entrepreneurship and design. I'm in looking after placements, and I'm encouraging students to do placements. And that's not really related to my degree, but it's like what you mentioned, it's the skills that I can gain from that, if I find a job that I do want to apply for and I'm really passionate about and I want to work, I can show that I've got these transferable skills. And that's essentially at the end of the day what employers really look for. Like what you mentioned, they don't really necessarily care about the company that you went to, or actually that's a lie. Some jobs don't care about the company that you worked for previously, or like the university that you went to, but they care about like what did you do when you were there, like what did you learn it, or like not necessarily what did you learn at uni, but like what were the activities that you might have done. So like you mentioned, being in charge of societies, being in societies, hosting events, doing like stuff like this, doing a podcast or whatever. And then also, like when it comes to work, where did you work? Did you have a role where you sort of did like administration or research or things like that. I think there was a video. See if I can find it, I'll include the link. But they did the same thing of saying like it was like people writing their CVs and they were saying like they worked they for example were like content creators, one of them, and they were just like instead they're like a targeted they were just like rather than putting like content creator on their CV, they were just like market researcher.
I think I know.
Yeah, because they were just like, oh, because you have to research your content.
The way you put it across,
exactly,
that makes a difference. Yeah,
and that's so true. But yeah, the last question is for any student that is it can be the same tip for both if they're doing a master's in law or if they're doing an undergrad in law.
Okay.
But what would be one tip that you would give to a student who's, they might be in a first year law student now, they might be thinking of applying to law. What would be your one tip to them?
Just one?
Yeah. Oh, you can give three if you want. You can give three.
I have a lot. Listen, law is very, very hard. So I think enjoy your degree as much as you can. Enjoy your time at the university, but also put in the work. I think do a lot of your reading. If you're planning on doing a master's like the SQE, make sure that you learn your content during your LLB as much as you can, because those are the same content that will be coming up in your exam. Like your master's is half what you've done in your LLB and half new topics. If you already learn the content that you have now, it's going to save you a lot more time, a lot more effort, and just help you as well be able to cope with the degree, because it's a lot of content. It's quite easy content to understand and grasp your whole information, but it's just a lot to unpack. And it's also based on like multiple choice questions where it's so the best answer you can find out the options. It's not like there's a wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. They're all right answers. You have to find the most right. I don't understand how that works. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just you really have to know your content. Okay. So just know your content and get in. Okay. And do you want to give two more? I can give two more. Okay. Yes, I can. I'll think about it though. Okay. While Tatyana thinks about her questions, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's really great to learn more about you, but I think especially your story. You've got a really unique story, like I mentioned, and I'm going to keep mentioning it about the coming to university at such a young age, but coming out headstrong and so I guess so confident in where you're at and where you are. That's incredible. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. No, thank you. I'll be happy to come back as well. No, we'd love to have you back. I'm sure these guys would love to have you back as well. But yeah, before we go on to the tips, if someone wants to either get in contact with you, they want to get in contact with the Mauritian Society, they want to know if the Mauritian Society at Brunel is something that they can, join or stuff like that. Let's just start half and half. So first, if they want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that? Okay. Well, I have my Instagram. Should I give like my tag? Does that work? You can give your tag and we can make again. It will appear it will appear on the screen. So don't worry. Because I'm sure my Instagram username is. Okay, it would have appeared. It's going to be on the screen right now. So if you want to contact Tatyana, just contact this thing somewhere here. And my LinkedIn as well is Agirani Munisomi, but that's very, very long. It's just that. So that will probably be somewhere on the screen. Yeah, so that will also appear on the screen. But yeah, I'm very bad with my Instagram username. Oh no, I changed it like a few times and then I can't remember it. Honestly, don't worry about it. Especially when I change phones and I have to log into my Instagram account, and it's just like because it's like the username. Too much remembering. It's too much remembering. It's too much. God's sake. And then if anyone wants to know about the Mauritian Society, whether they can join, we've mentioned it here before that Brunel societies, especially cultural societies, are not limited to that culture. If you want to learn more, you want to join, you want to enjoy the cuisine of the culture that you want to join, you can. But yeah, if there's any Brunel students who are thinking of joining, what is the best way for them to do that as well? So I think on the union website they have the societies, so they can easily go on that, and there should be a square for like the Mauritian Society. If they just click on that, the whole page will come up, and they'll be able to, I think, buy the membership. It's free. So, but otherwise, there's Instagram as well, and that one is, I do remember the I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Brunel.MauritianSoc.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the two. I think in the Mauritian Instagram account, there's a link
Okay.
in the bio for the membership. So
Okay.
that's fine as well. They can easily reach out.
Oh, perfect. And if it's not, again, it will appear on the screen, or it would have appeared on the
The
screen.
correct one was
So yeah, you've got the details there. But yeah, before we wrap up, do
yeah.
you have those two tips?
Oh right, yeah. Yeah. Yes. One will be network a lot. Go to networking events. There, even if you don't get anything out of it, I thought they were really fun. Personally, I like talking to people.
Okay.
You get a lot of free drinks, you get a lot of free food, you get a little night out in Central. It's really, really nice to get to dress up as well. So it's really good. I think you do get a lot of connections as well, like a lot of usernames you can probably add on LinkedIn, and they're all quite helpful. And last tip will probably be I don't know. I think just enjoy.
Just enjoy.
Just enjoy your university life because I there's a lot that I enjoyed in my university, and now I'm like, oh, I look back and I'm like, oh, I really miss those times. I wish I could go back. I can't. Unfortunately, finished too early. But no, they're all I had bad experiences, but it was really, really fun. I would definitely would I do it again? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but it was definitely a one in a lifetime experience.
No, definitely. I think it's true. We've mentioned it before that like uni is the one place I would say in life when you're mature enough to like do things and like make mistakes, but you're also in a position where if you try something and it fails, it doesn't really impact.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying like it can't severely impact you. Again, it can, but like it's not like you can sort of like try something, it can fail, but then you're sort of like in a place where you're not worrying about it's going to affect your job or things like that. Like you can try things out and sort of figure yourself out. Like you mentioned,
definitely
figuring out what you're interested in.
Yeah, figuring things out is definitely this is the best place to do this. Yeah, you can't really. I mean, even if it ends up not going your way, you can always try a different way. It won't really affect anything apart from maybe academic studies. First year can go really well. I can go smoothly compared to second year. I think I learned that. Like it was definitely a jump, but I think just learn how to kind of balance everything. Not every year is going to go like first year.
No.
Especially the first 3 months of first year. But yeah, just being able to figure out balance and being able to figure out yourself is just the perfect place.
Oh, definitely. And I know from like that's one of the reasons why I chose to do placement for both my undergrad and my master's. That's one of the reasons why I chose to go straight into a master's, was because I didn't know what to do. That's all right. I didn't know what to do, and then this gave me the opportunity to just figure out. So yeah, now I'm more confident on what I want to do when I graduate. So try it out. And just before we end, like you mentioned about networking, so important. We mention it here on the podcast and different segments all the time. Networking is like so key. It's an easy thing that you can do. Most people don't mind when you network, especially on LinkedIn. If you send them a message or connect with them, they don't mind, and it's a really good way to sort of like build your again, it's your own network. But like you can sort of build your own professional like profile, not only just on LinkedIn, but like in the world. So people will be like, oh yeah, I know you. We met at this networking event. You were asking about like jobs. Oh, turns out we've got a free role that we can offer you. You'd be surprised.
Especially with these networking events, when people are attending them that actually are in the industry, they're literally there for you to use them.
Exactly.
Most of them, I guess. Some of them are probably there for the free food, but a lot of them are there for you to use them. Okay, so I think not being scared to just go up to them and be like, listen, I'm trying to get into your field. What do you want me to do? It's just stuff like that. It's just a great way to start getting introduced, I guess, to the industry.
Yeah, and it's so valuable because, like what you mentioned, you're actually like whether there's a job on the company's website or people in that industry or not, like you're getting people who work in that industry to be like, cool, like what do you look for when you're like looking for a graduate or you're looking for a placement student or whatever? Because that's like insight that, like you mentioned, if you're not at the event, you probably they might have stuff in the job description or on their website, but as someone who's been on like the other end of an interview panel, there are certain things that just like people will see or people will hear that you do or they'll know that they might want to know a bit more about. So like I mentioned, if you're doing some sort of like extracurricular stuff, like society, like starting societies, leading societies, podcasting, even like stuff that might not necessarily relate to it. So like you were mentioning, someone could do law, but they're also creating music on the side. People are interested in that because it's something different. It's something that not everyone does. So yeah, check it out. But yeah, thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back. If you,
I wanted to add one thing.
Go ahead.
I think for me, like I said, I was very new to law. So networking events was definitely a great way where for me to start, because I did learn a lot about what they wanted from me. So I started going to them in my first year. So from then on, I kind of knew, okay, this is what I'm working towards, and this is what I need to do to finish off. I ended up, again, very different, because I started off wanting to do my bar in the barrister field, and now I'm doing the SQE. So it's very different, but it was still a great way for me to kind of still be familiar with both aspects and still kind of I don't know what it's called, narrowed down as I go along if I want to.
Yeah, that's really good. No, honestly, it was really great. And I'm sure our audience loved like all the advice that you gave as well. Before I actually do the roundup, you did remind me, hopefully this episode should be coming out the week that it's recorded. And on Tuesday, the 17th of January, Brunel's Entrepreneur Society are actually doing their own networking event where you get to network with entrepreneurs. So if you're a Brunel student or a Brunel alumni, you're more than welcome to come. I believe it is 5 to 7. It could be 4 to 6. Again, it will appear on the screen. A link should also be in the description and appear on the screen. But yeah, feel free to check it out. There's going to be an opportunity to network with. So there'll be an opportunity to sort of interview this panel of guests who are people in industry who are looking, who either support entrepreneurs, they've been an entrepreneur, they are entrepreneurs, and there's then going to be an opportunity to network with these people on the panel. But then you'll also get to be asked, you get to ask questions to current Brunel. Some of them are current students, some of them are alumni who have started their own business from scratch. So whether it's applied for funding, they've used their own funding, they've received funding like from charitable donations or from friends and family, but they've started their own business and have sort of been building up their business. So if there is anyone out there that's thinking of even just a network, because you never know where connections can get you, 17th of January, it'll be on campus. Again, the link has all the information that you want, and it will appear somewhere and be in the description. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. It's always appreciated. If you don't want to miss the next episode, then just make sure you click the notification bell at the bottom of the video, so that way you can be aware when the next episode comes out. And finally, if you want to support the podcast, or you want to see some perks because we can't do this without your wonderful help, then please do sign up to our Patreon page where you can get some free stuff, get early access to episodes and some other things. Yeah, thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful day, and see you all soon when we go behind the curtain again to discuss some more topics.